Welcome to today's podcast episode, a special feature coinciding with the International Women's Month. Today's conversation on women's citizenship rights is an essential one, not just once a year on International Women's Day, but every day. We are diving into an issue that reaches far beyond gender, one that touches on family, citizenship, and the fundamental right to equality. Denying children citizenship rights not only affects mothers, but also creates challenges for fathers who want to build a secure future for their families. Countless families are affected, and leading the charge for change are the inspiring individuals like Bina Ramanand and her team at Family Frontiers. We are honored to have Bina, the co-founder and lead coordinator at Family Frontiers, here with us today to share her insights and the ongoing efforts to secure equal citizenship rights for all children. Bina, welcome to our podcast.
And thank you so much, Bina, for having me here on this podcast and this really important issue of citizenship and how it impacts, women on whole.
Women as a whole,
yeah.
and also the families that they work so hard in putting together.
That's right.
So I'm going to dive in straight. My first question for you, Bina, today is, we know that Family Frontiers played a key role, right, in the recent court case regarding mothers' citizenship rights. Can you walk us through your perjuangan, your struggle, all these years, and how these new amendments affect the goals of all of you, at Family Frontiers?
Okay, first of all, citizenship is the mother of all rights. It grants you access to all other fundamental
Agreed.
liberties and rights.
Correct.
And without citizenship, there is difficulty to access education, difficulty to access healthcare at reasonable rates. There's difficulty for movement. Sometimes some of these children are stateless. And there's a high risk of statelessness as well in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the basic facilities are not afforded to these children.
Yeah.
And it is really necessary for them to be able to access citizenship, which is a right and not an award, not a privilege. It should be granted to all persons whose either parent is Malaysian, irrespective of their place of the birth.
Mm-hmm.
And Family Frontiers took up this issue when we realized that the numbers were increasing with each year.
Mm-hmm.
And it affected a huge pool of women. It also impeded their confidence level, their ability to raise their children. And so just to let you know that Foreign Spouse Support Group and under the Family Frontiers umbrella has been receiving these cases since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And there were no approvals. So
Since 2016.
2016. Actually, the approvals started coming in only from 2023 onwards.
Mm-hmm.
So and during COVID, what happened was COVID times, mothers could not, previously they had to come into the country to deliver their children, which is putting families at risk. Many of them could not afford to come into the country.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we realized that, the system has to change.
Okay.
Right? Because Malaysian men have the ability to apply citizenship for their overseas born children, and they will get their citizenship. It can be as quick as 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And very easily.
All right.
However, Malaysian women were struggling. Some of them, they would go on for 5 years and then get rejection with no reason provided.
Mm-hmm.
Again, submit these applications. In the meantime, their children are growing. Some of them are single mothers in the country and really struggling and being put into challenging situations.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened in 2020 to bring the issue to the forefront? A case was filed in the Kuala Lumpur High Court.
Yeah. I think we are all familiar with that case.
Yes.
Yeah. But walk us through that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So And what happened here was we, Family Frontiers, sought an interpretation at the KL High Court to grant women citizenship, and so that the Constitution can be read harmoniously. So we had Article 8(2), I think in 2001, where there was an amendment to allow gender to be so that there's non-discrimination based
Correct.
on
That's
gender.
the general gender equality clause, yes.
Yeah. So to read that along harmoniously with Article 14,
Yes.
so the word father should also mean mother.
Yes.
Yeah. And we got a very good decision on 9th September, and where the High Court granted that Malaysian women would be able to secure equal rights to confer citizenship on their overseas-born children.
Yes.
And the court ordered the issuance of citizenship documents to all children born outside of Malaysia to a Malaysian mother on a similar basis to the 6 plaintiffs and the main applicant, Suryani Kempe, from our from Family Frontiers.
Yeah, I'm just going to fast forward the whole development, right, of the whole course. So let's fast forward to the recent announcement, right? We're going to see some new amendments, right?
Yeah.
And we want to know how these new amendments affect, the goals and your plight. And a lot of us see the package of the proposed amendments as a solution that creates new problems while solving one, right? Can you explain to us the different categories affected by these amendments and why a one-size-fits-all approach might not work? And also, we also know that just from the basic understanding of what was announced, what was available to us in the media, is that the proposed changes give the Home Ministry more discretion in granting citizenship, decisions. Can you elaborate on why this shift from operation of law to ministerial discretion is concerning, especially for stateless children and foundlings?
So certainly we commend the government's efforts to amend the citizenship provisions in the federal constitution to grant Malaysian mothers equal right to confer citizenship on their overseas-born children on a similar basis as Malaysian men.
Okay.
However, which really surprised us all, and sometime in June there was an announcement that was made where the government was bundling 8 other proposed amendments to the constitution, and 5 of those amendments are considered regressive. Now, so we have one progressive.
So that's one positive, one plus.
Yes, one plus.
Okay, a huge plus.
Yeah. So this is buy 1, free 5.
Okay.
And the 5 are very regressive, especially we look at the issue of foundling and abandoned children who no longer will be entitled to citizenship by operation of law. By amending Section 19B of the second schedule, Part 3 of the Federal Constitution,
Yes.
it will alter obtaining citizenship by operation of law, which is like automatic citizenship, to citizenship by registration, which will result in foundling, abandoned children being deprived of automatic citizenship. It will place them under the discretionary, like you rightly said, the discretionary authority of the Home Minister in their citizenship determination.
Yeah, because in the past we've seen how you need a lot of endurance to go through the whole application process to get registered.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that,
because
under the Mothers Amendment, before this, Malaysian mothers had to apply under Article 15(2), which was citizenship by registration.
Yeah.
We didn't see any movement, not much movement. There was less than 1% approval from 2014 to say about in a decade.
Yeah, to now,
And so the citizenship by registration is, it's a very arbitrary process. But I must tell you one thing, is that when JPN accepts those documents, the application, they are very thorough at their job.
Okay.
Right? So the application, if there's even one document missing, they may not accept it. Right? Those officers at the counter are excellent. They will make sure that the documentation is proper. Before it is submitted, before the person at the affected person submits the document. So
Yes.
everything is a proper, complete package.
Correct. So we are not questioning, all right, the work, the good work, the thorough investigation that's been carried out. We are not, but it has been done at the expense, actually, of time. And time is of the essence, right? Because you have children who, at the start of the application, were just babies, infants, and then when they finally hear something, they are already of school-going age, right? 5 years old, 5 years, of waiting, So that must be really hard, on mothers and families. So how do you go on planning, right? The logistics and, the setup, of education for your children, So it definitely is an obstacle to raising children in our country. Right. So not just in our country, inside or outside of the country, right? The lack of security, the lack of certainty and predictability of where, the child's welfare will be best taken care of, right? So, okay, Bina, I see the point here, but I have another question which may be a little bit more technical for our listeners, but I think we should visit this today. All right. So we know that the amendment affecting the foreign wives has raised red flags over time, right? So this proposed amendment, right, they seek to replace the date of marriage with the date of obtaining citizenship in Article 26(2)(1), read with Article 15(1). And this will mean that the Malaysian citizenship granted to a non-citizen wife under Article 15(1) can be easily revoked if the marriage is dissolved within 2 years of obtaining citizenship, rendering the non-citizen wives stateless. Okay, so we want to know, how would this amendment potentially impact women in abusive marriages, for example, and what alternative solutions could be explored? Do you have any idea?
Yes, I think in the area of binational families, that is Malaysians married to non-citizens, this is an area where we are the only probably service provider that is providing guidance and support to Malaysian binational families.
How big is this community, Bina?
Roughly, I think on an average, every year, immigration would process about 150,000 visas of foreign spouses married to
150,000 per year.
Per year.
Okay.
And sometimes some of them get 2 years visas. So I would think that approximately 200,000 plus such families are there in Malaysia.
Okay.
When I say 200 plus families, include like maybe at an average of 4 per family. That's a huge number of people who are impacted. Borders are opening up. People are coming to Malaysia to study, to work. Malaysians are going overseas to study and work. Yeah. And therefore, you have a lot of these marriages, right? Now, what is happening is that the process applied by the government for non-citizen spouses to acquire Malaysian citizenship under 15(1) has strayed from the constitutional stipulation.
Okay.
So under the current immigration process, a non-citizen wife of a Malaysian man is only able to apply for Malaysian citizenship 2 years after she acquires permanent residence. And that is a process that could take anywhere from 8 to 10 years. Because to just give you an example, we did a desk study on permanent residence. And from 65 respondents who had made applications since the year 2014 until 2022, there was not a single approval from these 65 respondents.
Wow.
So very few
okay.
persons, especially spouses, have reported back. I think in our experience, we came across only 2 spouses who have received permanent residence. There could be more, but maybe they didn't reach us. But most of them got rejections.
Yeah, but based on this pool of the samples, not a lot.
Yes,
right.
there was none.
Okay.
Right? And so the access, that pathway to citizenship actually does not exist, because if you don't have permanent residence, you can't apply for citizenship. Now, another thing that happens here is that Article 15(1), according to the federal constitution, actually says if you are married for 2 years and in an existing marriage, and you have good character, and you have an intention to reside permanently in Malaysia, you can apply for citizenship. But it doesn't happen that way. We are made, it is not according to how the Constitution has mandated. We are made to apply citizenship for citizenship only after you secure PR.
Yes.
And PR is very difficult to obtain.
To obtain in the first place.
Yeah. So if you're talking about and the reasoning given to this particular whole process is to deter marriage of convenience, we are told. Now, another part of it is by the time a person can apply for citizenship, it could be about 10, 12 years. And you have to wait 2 years after PR. And then, so say 12 years into your marriage and you've got citizenship.
Yeah.
And within 2 years of acquiring that citizenship,
The PR.
the citizenship,
Okay.
after 2 years of acquiring the citizenship, if your marriage dissolves, the government can withdraw your citizenship.
Yes.
That means at the age of probably 45, 50, that woman is going to be stateless if the government withdraws the citizenship, because Malaysia does not have dual citizenship. You have to give up your original nationality to accept Malaysian citizenship. Bear in mind that many of these are mothers and may have Malaysian children. So where does that leave them? And it would also keep people who are in abusive situations stuck in that relationship for fear of becoming stateless.
Yeah. So what we tried to deter in the first place, marriage of convenience, now has become inconvenienced, and not by their own, choice, but because of the system. And that's really ironic. Yeah.
And another thing is, on 12th of March, we had a Kamar Khas in Parliament, and when asked to furnish evidence on the number of marriage of convenience, which is the rationale that's been given for amending the Constitution.
And how many other?
Yeah. So actually, we were shocked when we came to know that there is no available statistics on the number of marriage of convenience, yet the Constitution is being amended.
Okay. So your point is we shouldn't be rushing into making such decisions and amendments, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I think Bina, we have quite some insights from you today on these few key questions, but I just want to ask one more question. In the end, the civil society, we all know we have seen you, push back, on these amendments. We've seen that. We've seen the reactions, and it's not all just positive. There are a lot of emotions are running high. We understand. So what do you think are some potential solutions or alternative approaches that we can take to ensure a more inclusive and a fairer citizenship framework for all?
Yeah. First of all, the progressive amendment for the mothers should go ahead immediately.
Okay.
And the regressive amendments should be separated out. And
you don't want buy one free 5
no,
things.
No, that doesn't work this
way.
way. This is citizenship.
Okay.
There should be further study, because if you're bringing in some amendment, it should be progressive. It should help the person who's impacted, not actually withdraw a constitutional right, right? So therefore, I think the regressive amendments need to be pulled back,
All right.
and studied further. And more than that, there should be evidence, that if they are
supporting any proposed amendments.
Yes, evidence-based decisions should be made.
Okay.
Provide a draft bill or a green paper, so that relevant CSOs can provide
have the
feedback.
opportunity to comment on that. Yeah.
I think most important would be to engage with all the relevant stakeholders, including impacted persons who are going to be impacted by the law. Bring in experts, academicians, and have a real, sincere, open dialogue in the best interest of the country.
And that's what we need, the very first steps to proper, and well thought, well-founded amendments, right, is to engage with stakeholders, is to have these sincere conversations about what's at stake here. Yeah. And so I think that's all for today, Bina. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing the work that you have done. And I think over here we are very, very supportive, and we are really touched by, your resilience, and the steadfastness that you have all displayed, throughout the past decade. So thank you so much, Bina, and we hope to talk to you soon. And that's all we have here for today's podcast episode In the Middle. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.